All right, this is the starting pre-inspection for 2016 Mazda 6 4-cylinder engine bay video. So first thoughts, I'm glad that it's not polished up. There's not been anybody under here with a pressure washer. All the dust on here looks right in line for the mileage. It's 93,000 miles. Not seeing initial observations. I'm not seeing any damage, failed conduit, swollen hoses, leaks. I'm looking down at the belly pan. Nothing other than the water. It's a rainy day. Does look like a small example of maybe a rodent was in here for a very short period of time. However, I don't see any damage to the hood liner. We can flip the vanity cover over. No damage to the vanity cover. Very, very, very common, you know, in the Northwest, you know, just a rodent kind of makes a home there for a little while. There's no chewing, no mechanical damage. I'm not smelling any exhaust leaks. There's no codes on the dash would indicate that there would be an exhaust leak. It is an electric power steering module, so I'm not going to see any hydraulic leaks. It's a gasoline direct injected engine, uses a high pressure fuel pump in conjunction with a low pressure lifter pump from the tank. Not smelling any fuel. It's not rattling or sounding like it's wallered out or worn out internally. Let's see. No excessive corrosion. Battery terminals look clean and well maintained. This kind of corrosion is completely normal in line with its age. It's just the sulfuric acid, the hydrogen sulfide gases, they'll float around and kind of deposit, and that's just a battery hold down. It's inconsequential. Ground straps look like to be in good condition. What else? Looking down here, not seeing any damage or any paint differential on the frame or the crush rail where example of an accident. No difference in paint colors or anything down there. The camera will focus for you. That looks good on driver's side. Moving over to passenger side, same deal. So that's typically how it would be repaired, is if you had down there where that bolt is, you'd have the front crash rail will be taken off and you could repair the front end. But typically they might not be painted, or they'll be a different color, maybe from a salvage vehicle. I'm not seeing any of that. I'm not seeing any drips, leaks, stains, tears, mechanical failures on alternator connectors. Belt is not making any noise. The hydraulic tensioner for the belt, it's kind of hard to see right down in between. There it is, if it'll focus. Looks a little bit damp, but it's not hopping. So I'm not going to suspect a failure at this time, but maybe next time the belt is changed, it needs to be done. Checking passenger side engine mount, not seeing any cracking, dry rotting, that looks fine. Let's move over, see if I can see any other mounts downstairs. There may be another mount below the battery. I can't see it at this time, but the engine's not behaving as if there's a bad mount. Let's see. Brake fluid. Brake fluid is hydroscopic. It absorbs moisture over time, and as the liners to the soft brake lines begin to deteriorate, the brake fluid will begin to darken in conjunction with that absorbed water. So the color of the fluid is an indicator of its health. This is acceptable. So an amber color and kind of a transparent color is acceptable. So I would park that brake fluid as acceptable. Let's see. Check the expansion tank. There is fluid. You can see the green, kind of hard to, that green down in there. There's not the levels are correct. It's not empty as if the engine maybe there's consuming coolant or maybe has an air leak somewhere. No damage on the ABS module, no damage on the connectors. And again, I'd like to comment that I'm glad to not see that there's been any power washing going on in here or any sort of vanity kind of cleanup in here. This amount of dust is right in line with its age and how it's been cared for. So the engine bay gets a pass from me. Okay, external inspection, continuing on our Mazda 2016 Mazda 6 inspection. We're looking at panel gaps. We're looking to see if we have any inconsistencies along the vehicle. We're starting with the driver's side quarter panel, looking for how it mates to the hood. I'm looking to see if it's millimeter wise, is this closer than say up by the headlight. I'm not seeing any significant deviations, which would indicate maybe an accident, where maybe say one is very, very close and the other one is far away, or maybe they're rubbing or something like that. Following the quarter panel down the driver's side door, looks good. Let's see the roof lining, nice even here, that looks good. The most noticeable stuff you would see is with these quarter panels where this just wouldn't quite align right, really common for the side impact or something like that. Following down around driver's side, same deal, nice straight panel gap. Following panel gap back, the trim pieces nice and aligned. So this is factory stuff. This is nice to see when these panels are really closely aligned. There's money that goes into that, so that means that there was good QC in terms of, you know, assuming this car has never been in a collision, which is so far the impression that these line up. So this tells us that there's good QC from the factory on the body fitment and things like that. I've seen vehicles that are relatively new, untouched in collision, everything, and these gaps are all kinds of messed up. So following this panel down, same thing, panel gap there is good. Following the bumper cover, I'm pushing on these panels to make sure that they're not, you know, there's the clips in here that aren't broken, or you can see it kind of push in. No, this is all nice and snug. Same thing following the trunk liner around, following this around, pushing on the bumper, making sure that it's retained well. That's fine as well. Checking right rear bumper, that's good. Seam is good. Panel gap is good. Good fitment back here, running down. Good panel gap right rear. Checking front passenger, good panel gap here. Following around, good panel gap here. Vehicle drove straight and true on the highway, 70 plus miles an hour, no problems there, no excessive vibrations, no vibrations at all. Steering was nice and tight, vehicle tracked correctly. Very, very mild curb rash here. Does not correspond with this tire, so either maybe it didn't happen with this tire, or it's been a while, this tire's cleaned off, that's not a concern. Let's see, following around again, this tire is good. Okay, rear lamps. Okay, good. Okay, all right, external body gets a pass. This concludes this portion of the inspection. All right, I'd normally do an underbody inspection with an inspection camera, but with the rain out here, it's gonna be very difficult to see. I do apologize in advance that actually getting a good look under here with both the camera in hand and the wet mirror. However, I will perform the inspection, and if I do find anything, it will be noted on the MPI, the multi-point inspection report. Thank you. All right, we're now testing internal functionality. The owner does have the key. So he's left me with the vehicle running, but with the key in his possession, so that can be ignored. The blue coolant light, that is a normal heat temperature indicator. More modern cars, once we get past about 2009-12, begin to lose a temperature gauge, and instead you will begin to see a warning light or indicator light letting you know that the engine is still cold or the exhaust system is still too cold. That light will always go away once the engine is warmed up. If that light were to stay on for an excessive period of time, that may indicate maybe a worn out thermostat, maybe another issue, but that light did disappear within about 10 minutes of driving. 93,000 miles on the odometer. Car drove very well for almost being 100,000 miles. All functionalities in the dual climate control work. I'm not seeing any significant hesitation between either side of the blend doors, the mode doors, between the mode and the dual temperature control. The infotainment center appears entirely functional. Car is, when I say clean, I don't mean clean as in wiped down. I mean clean as in these buttons aren't worn down. I'm not seeing, maybe when people wear excessive amounts of lotion or have chemicals on their hands, that things are all, eroded away. The door cards on the doors are solid. Usually the driver's side one is the one that fails first, because in and outs, the most high frequency is on this door. So you'd shake the door card, you're looking for any play in the door. I'm not getting that. Same thing with passenger sides. In the back, same thing there. No tears, no rips in the seats. Doesn't look like maybe the material has been replaced on one seat versus the other. Internal, the car is full functional. Sunroof does work. I did test that. On the highway drive, I did test all the functionalities on the steering wheel, of course, turn signals and multifunction switches. Everything inside this car is functioning correctly as it should. The interior of this vehicle gets a pass. Okay, moving on to a trunk inspection. What I would be looking for in here is water damage. This car is coming back nice and clean though, so I don't suspect I'm going to find that. But what I would look for is when I remove this tire, if I can get it out easily. Okay, that's nice, not too many threads on that. It's an emergency situation, it's not 5 miles long. Your entire roadside kit is here. You have tow hooks for tow truck to tow you out of a tight spot. Pulling the tire up, we're gonna look for any sort of rodent damage, water lines, anything. This is the lowest point on the car in the back that's not under your the driver or passenger's feet, and frequently it's overlooked. So this is one of the places I will always go to look for any sort of contamination or flood damage, anything like that. I'm not seeing any, so I'm pleased with that. No missing trays, no damaged componentry. I suspect no one's even really ever been in here. Very clean for a 2016. So I'm gonna go reinstall that. I really appreciate this. In an emergency situation, you're not back here fumbling around very blindly. This tells me that somebody at Mazda for this particular year was caring about who's driving this vehicle. See these come out. Okay, you have your scissor jack down there. It looks to be possibly even unused. I don't see any sort of contamination, any sort of deposition, you know, anything living down in there. So that comes back clean. Okay, so let's check the driver's side. Driver's side is pinned down. I suspect maybe there's some wiring or anything under here. I wouldn't want to break these guys, so I'm not going to pull on those. That might be wiring you might want to access for maybe a tow hitch or something like that. So trunk comes back clean. Thank you.